Hey guys, it's Bella and welcome back to another episode of Mystery Mondays. So I'm just gonna get straight into this one. I don't really have an intro. If you guys do enjoy Mystery Mondays, of course, remember to give this video a thumbs up for me so I know that you like them and want me to continue the series, and subscribe to my channel so that you can see more. So today's case is going to be the disappearance of Brian Shaffer. And I apologize for any background noise. I have no other time to film this and there is construction going on and it's just non-stop. I tried to find a time where it stopped. It had stopped for like 5 minutes. So I was like, all right, great, I'm good to go. And it just doesn't want to stop. So if there is any annoying noise in the background, So Brian Shaffer disappeared on the 1st of April in 2006 from Columbus, Ohio. At the time of his disappearance, he was a 27-year-old second-year medical student at Ohio State University. Brian's mother had passed away from cancer 3 weeks prior to his disappearance, and then on Monday, the 3rd of April, after his disappearance, he was actually planning a trip to Miami with his girlfriend Alexis Wagner, where, according to friends and family, he was going to propose. On Friday, the 31st of March, classes ended and spring break was due to start. To celebrate, Brian and his father Randy went out to dinner together. They enjoyed a steak, and then later at 9 p.m. on the 31st, Brian was going to the Ugly Tuna Saloon, which is like a seafood restaurant, like a bar kind of thing as well. And he went there to meet his friend William Clint Florence, who they were gonna celebrate the start of spring break and go bar hopping together that night. They went to a few different bars, and according to William, every single bar they went to, they did a shot of liquor and they were quite drunk by the end of the night. So then later that night, or kind of like early the next morning in the really early hours of April 1st, their friend, well, William's friend, Meredith Reed, picked them up from whatever bar they were at and then drove them back to the Ugly Tuna Saloon. So after Meredith dropped them off, she decided to join them at the bar, and while the three of them were hanging out, Meredith and William actually lost track of Brian. They didn't know where he was. They were calling his cell phone and they just didn't receive an answer from him. They didn't know where he was. Then at 2 a.m. in the morning on April 1st, the bar closed, so everyone was leaving and Meredith and William still couldn't find Brian anywhere. They kind of just assumed that he went back to his apartment and he didn't tell them for some reason, so they just ended up heading home themselves. Later that weekend, no one had heard from Brian, so his girlfriend Alexis Wagner and his father called his phone, but they had no answer. And then on Monday, when Alexis and Brian were due to fly off to Miami, he didn't show up for his flight, and that's when she got worried and called the Columbus police. When police started to investigate, they looked through security footage, so there was a lot of security footage in Columbus, like a whole heap, especially the place that they were, because there was kind of like a high crime rate, so there was a lot of security footage, and there was one directly outside the entrance kind of place for the Ugly Tuna Saloon. So they looked through the footage of that. They saw at 1:15 a.m. Brian, William, and Meredith all entered the bar. Then later at 1:55 a.m., Brian was seen talking to two girls before heading back into the bar, because when he was talking to the two girls, he was kind of like outside of the bar, so then the security footage showed him entering the bar after like saying goodbye to these girls. Everyone who entered the bar was seen on the security footage leaving the bar, except for Brian. He was not seen anywhere on the tape. There's no footage of him even leaving. Investigators say that it's possible that maybe he got changed, had a hat, and looked down so that the security footage couldn't see his face. Maybe it missed him because one of the cameras, I think they like panned a little bit, but they said it was unlikely. And investigators also looked into security footage around the area that they were bar hopping, because as I said, there was a lot of cameras everywhere, and none of the cameras showed any footage of Brian. Investigators were just trying to see, like, maybe piece together the night, see what could have happened, or maybe if he left, see why he left, but he wasn't seen on any security footage anywhere else. So that's all the evidence, and now I'm gonna go ahead and get into some theories. So there are four main theories, and the first theory is that Brian actually left on his own and like took himself off the map. While it's unlikely, it's possible that he did get out of the bar undetected, whether that was because he wore different clothes or maybe wore a hat and kind of looked down so that the security footage couldn't see his face and couldn't detect him leaving, or if he left via the freight elevator, which is where the restaurant slash bar got all of the deliveries. I'm not really sure how that would have worked, but I read it on this website that it's a possibility. but like I said, it's unlikely that he left undetected. And on top of that, I kind of feel like it's a little bit strange that he would like try to leave without anyone's, like without the security footage seeing him. Like I feel like that's a really weird thing to do. Like why would he get changed, put on a hat and try and make sure that the security footage didn't see him? Like why would he care specifically about the security footage? It just seems weird to me, especially if you're drunk. I feel like it's not the type of thing that you're trying to like avoid. I mean, it's possible that he got cold feet because he was planning on going to Miami with his girlfriend, soon to be fiance, or maybe he was really upset about his mother's death, but nobody knows for sure what the reasoning could have been for him to leave, especially because no one even knows if he actually left. However, even if he did leave by himself, it's really strange that there is no security footage of him anywhere, whether it's at the Ugly Tuna Saloon or anywhere in that area. It's weird that none of the cameras spotted him. The next theory is that Brian is still alive and his friend William knows where he is. So William was just really sketch after Brian disappeared. He was the only person that was asked to do a polygraph that didn't agree to it. Meredith did a polygraph and she passed, but for some reason William just kept refusing to do the polygraph. They asked him multiple times and he just would not do it. And he was the only one that would not do it. Brian's brother Derek says that he thinks that William had something to do with the disappearance as well. He said if Brian did leave willingly or whatever the case may be, that William knows where he is. And he is just like adamant that William knows something about the disappearance or where Brian might be. Alexis, the girlfriend, also thinks that William has something to do with the disappearance. But other than that, there's no real evidence that William had anything to do with it. It was just like he was really difficult when working with investigators, and both Alexis and Derek thought that he knew something about it. But other than that, there was no evidence. There's nothing to suggest that William knows anything, aside from like he was being weird and people thought that he knew something about it. So the next theory is that Brian actually was a victim to the smiley face murderer. So this theory was developed because there was 45 incidents in Midwestern states of men, like college-aged men, so not men in college, but like college-aged men, all drowning from the 1990s, the late 1990s to late 2000s. In each incident, all of the drownings took place after the man had left a bar or like a pub or something like that, or a party, and they were intoxicated. All of the drownings were actually ruled accidental, but the theory that was developed states that there was like a smiley face graffitied near all of the locations where the men drowned. And also there was like consistencies throughout some of like the damage to the bodies, or I don't really know, but there was consistencies between the incidents. Now this theory came up in relation to this case because a psychic told Randy, Brian's dad, that he was in water somewhere. But searches were organized in nearby lakes and rivers, but Brian's body was never found. And that brings us to the last theory, that Brian is still inside the bar. So there is absolutely no evidence to support this theory besides the fact that he was never seen leaving the bar. But some people think that maybe he was killed inside the bar, and either they disposed of his body somehow in the bar with nobody finding it, or they managed to like get his body out through like a garbage disposal. But there is absolutely no evidence to support the theory, and I guess that's it. Unfortunately, Brian's dad, Randy, did pass away from a tragic accident. So even if it is found what happened to Brian, or if Brian is ever found, or if it's ever discovered that he was maybe murdered, unfortunately the only person alive from Brian's family is his brother Derek, and his father will never know what happened to his son, which is so sad. Personally, I feel like none of the theories make a whole lot of sense. None of them have any evidence, and there's just not a lot to go off in this case. But if I was going to pick one that I like believe the most, it would definitely be that he left of his own free will, because I feel like if he was murdered, whether it was in the bar, like if he was murdered in the bar, I feel like someone would have seen something happen, heard something happen, or I feel like his body would have been found, or there would have been some type of lead as to who did it, where his body was buried, or I don't know, there just had to have been something. You know, you can't just murder someone and then nobody knows that he was even murdered. Nobody knows, like, heard anything, saw anything. It just seems really weird to me. So I just really feel like he left. I don't know why. Some people think that maybe he left because he needed to grieve for his mother on his own for a little while, but he never came back, so I don't know if maybe he went for a little while and then decided not to come back at all. Like he started a new life and decided he liked it better. I have no idea, but I just really feel like he left. I don't feel like something happened to him. But I feel like it's weird that no one's like seen him, you know what I mean? Because it's like a big case, like people have seen his photo, I'm sure, but nobody's seen him. So, and like when his father died, I feel like if he did leave by himself, then he would have come back for that, unless he didn't know, of course. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the case. Let me know your theories, your opinions. I would love to hear that. I would also love to hear what cases you want to see in the future. And yeah, hopefully I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!